And the bottom left in the blue here, he's playing for Cloud9. It's Gumiho. Upper right in the red, looking so much better as of late, like really coming on strong. He's in the red. It's NightMare. Make sure to take make my tea bag out of my tea. So when we saw this happen a couple weeks ago, NightMare, we took down Gumiho. Very straight up series. NightMare, I don't even think he was all that aggressive, just played a very nice straight up play. And it's kind of incumbent, it's interesting here. I'm trying to remember that series. It was a cool series. NightMare played very, very well. But I don't think it was Gumiho being insanely aggressive, as it were. So we do see Gumiho here, right? Going for Proxy Reaper. Game 1. This is something that is gonna eventually get an inkling figured out by NightMare. He says, oh well, there's double gas, nothing in your main base. Okay, fine, this is probably gonna be a Proxy Reaper. And oh, I love this actually from NightMare. Look at this, he pulled the probe down to the low ground because he knows that, okay, there's a chance there's a bunker that's gonna go down. So if I just don't go, if I just pull that probe down earlier, yeah, I lose a little bit of mining, fine. Is gonna block this on the side. So very couple nice little wrinkles here that NightMare's putting in. But if I just go and do that, you can't put a bunker down, and then it's not going to be nearly as annoying. That being said, by going straight for the Stalker here, no, he did get a Zealot. No, he didn't. Never mind. By going, no, he did. I'm just blind. This is fine. Welcome to the early morning. By going for the Zealot and then kind of not cutting corners and going for the Adept, and then the Zealot not quite being in the proper position. Well, all of a sudden here, we're looking at the situation where 3 probes go down, which is not what you're looking for. Is NightMare hits that pause, so we're going to take a pause. We're going to turn the music off. Turn on the game sounds, and we're right back into it. So, Reapers show up at the natural. How many workers have died? Still 3 probes. Okay, so they restarted after the economic damage had happened. Looks like they restarted pretty much right when they stopped, but at least now NightMare, he's not on follow command, so that's a lot better. He's gonna go Twilight out of this. We got a starport on the way from Gumiho behind, and this is Gumiho. He's got pressure on the map certainly, but he does have transitions out of it. Now the key thing to look at here is to pay attention to our setup. Gumiho 3 Reapers, a Hellion, second Hellion running across the map fairly quickly. So 3 and 2 is a worker annihilating force, and there's no wall at the natural. So yeah, there's a Stalker here, there's a Zealot here, but I don't expect NightMare to last in this game very long. Is the kind of the long and short of it. A nice attempted body block there on the probes, but it's just not going to matter. Workers continue to go down, probes continue to get pulled into this, and yeah, you know, eventually this is gonna get handled. But this is 9 total probes from Gumiho. 9 total probes, and yeah, Hellions, Reapers, they died, but the economic damage that Gumiho's been able to get this game is, there we go, best of 3, it's not a best of 1, is nigh insurmountable. So the Stalkers, the Zealot, they're gonna have to run onto the other side, and you know, there's no bunker at the natural. There is that, but there's a tank, and that's gonna cover a lot of the entrance, not all of it, but a lot of it. His first shot's gonna go down. Reaper back into the main base. There's no shield battery, so he can get more damage done if he wants to. Of course, he's dealing with Stalkers on the other side at the moment, and SCVs do have to get pulled away. There is that. Oh, tank's gonna unsiege because the Stalkers on the high ground will have range, and this is a little dicey for Gumiho. This is true. He's not mining out of the natural. He's not gonna mine out of it for a while, but when you add in that second tank, and all of a sudden, it becomes that much more difficult to deal with. Yeah, you know, there are areas that the Stalkers... Oh, target the low Stalker? Yeah, he's going to knock that down. I was going to say that, you know, there are areas of this that Stalkers can't really hit. Or cannot, that can't exist and the tanks can't really hit. But now when you have 2 tanks, you can kind of leapfrog them together, pull them back into range, another shot goes down. More Stalkers, they're going to continue to try to rally across, but... Well, in the absence of Blink, it's going to be really hard. Now, granted, Blink's going to be done soon. Targeting down there. There we go, that last Stalker. Tank does not want to die. Yeah, it will. But Gumiho now is starting to trade army for army instead of economy for army. And that's, you know, they're kind of blessings and curses on that one. Because on the one hand, you know, army for army, you need these tanks. for the blink timing, that's the blink pressure that's going to be coming up behind. On the other hand, you're not losing your economy as much. So Gumiho, he's only down about 5 workers this stage. That's fantastic for the Terran. And with having this blink uncharged on the way, adding in a warp prism, we're at 4 gates. NightMare, he understands the damage that he's taking. He has no intention of taking this game incredibly late, at least not without damage. If he can go and have this third base, sure, get that started behind, but get more workers, knock more tanks down, really start to make this hard for Gumiho, then yeah, absolutely, the game can continue. But if this kind of goes just as it is, well, life becomes very hard for our Protoss players. So, where's our prism? Prism was made. Going on to the other side of the map. 7 stalkers here. Charge halfway done. I really expected to see NightMare go and actually lean into the stalker pressure. I guess the thought is maybe blink is too late. But he did kill a tank, so that resets the timing back. And now stalker's in the main base, but tank is under Aegis for the time being. So it's just going to be a good old max fax maneuver, right? Where you kind of run behind, you kill off a couple workers, you make the Terran player have to think a little bit. But again, this third base is so slow for NightMare. And yes, charge is on the way. Yeah, he's playing a very gateway heavy style, so you need a little bit less money for that. You know, theoretically, he's gonna single drop stalkers on this tank. So the friendly fire should maybe knock the tank down, but instead that's not gonna happen, and a stalker will fall. But again, it feels like you want to see more coming from NightMare than what he has done in terms of actually getting pressure. So the drop doesn't get a lot. Does a really good job of warding that away. The Liberator, I don't think got a ton done. It got 2 kills. Are those probes? Yeah, they were. 13 probes are dead. Stalkers, there we go. Get on top of the drop here, targeting down the Marines. They have enough to one-tap that. And even with Stim done, this is not... It's going to get a Stalker maybe, but that really is going to be the sum total of it. Meanwhile, 3 Stalkers, they don't one-shot SCVs, but they do 2-shot. Some more workers will go down. There's the recall, and you know, NightMare's making a real good effort to make this happen. This is 5 tanks. How in the world... Okay, it's still 5 tanks. How in the world are you supposed to handle this as Liberator gets 5 more probes? And with these rocks not getting taken down, I mean, there's no flank angle here. This is really hard for NightMare. So he's going to go for it right now. Zealots get run in. The couple tanks in the front just get annihilated here. Guardian Shield, though, that's going to get taken down. And the SCV pulls a little bit late. Gumiho, he goes, he commits this timing, but the tanks are down before the SCVs arrive. And wait a minute here, NightMare? The Zealots are low, but there's another warp in coming in soon. All the SCVs are dead. The tanks have mostly gone down. There are 2 rounds of warp in, or there were 2 rounds of blinks effectively with the Prism. And NightMare, I think he's held this. It's not... I don't... Okay, there's no shield battery of the natural. That's a little bit dicey. Warp Prism will go down, and that's not what you really want. But NightMare, what an incredible hold. He takes game 1 here. Wow. Again, this NightMare player is a guy that he's always had promise, right? He's always been good. But there's a difference between like being promising and, you know, playing a good series. I think back, he eviscerated Classic in a PvP a couple months ago. Being decent, right? Being a solid player and taking down Gumiho in a PvT, because Gumiho's PvT is very, very strong. If we look at, you know, the head-to-head of Gumiho NightMare, that's very even overall. And actually, I was going to say, I think Gumiho's PvT is a bit more, is going to be a bit stronger in terms of like form. But apparently it's not the case. NightMare, actually, his TVP or his PvT looking just a little bit better. And you know, I'll buy that. He's been looking really. I'm actually really excited to see what he's going to be able to do in Atlanta. Stats Ryung, who won? They're still going on as far as I can tell. Gachi Komikru. Take a look at the bracket link, it'll show you. And what are we at? Stats Ryung still happening, yeah. Anyway, game 1 we saw Gumiho go for a proxy. It didn't really work out at all. So he's gonna back up into something that is not quite, I mean, in fair, Barracks double gas is pretty standard, right? But it's not like your paragon of economics. You know, you're not gonna go Reaper expand or bearing that, go Marine expand, Marine reactor. expand and just really, really put the pedal to the metal. Instead, the Reaper's going to go over to run to the other side. We'll get the scouting probe, but that kind of is the default. You expect to lose this probe early on. Ring around the rosy with the Adept, though, is a bit fun, but luckily, you know, the Adept has a shade. So even if you juke out the main the main unit, the shade's going to be able to do enough, but NightMare screws up the micro. One probe on the, or both the shade and the Adept on the low ground, which is not really what you're looking for. So now economic damage, a probe probably should, probe's gonna die, never mind. I was gonna say a probe probably shouldn't die, but Gumiho absolutely duking things out here, making so much more than he ever should with his Reaper. I mean, my goodness, shades will get canceled, but with 2 Adepts, the Reaper should die. So the fact that we are in 3 minutes into this game and the Reaper is still alive is, there's no way this gets out. Zero shot again. Okay. Trying to play around with the cliff, but finally he's going to get dealt with. And, you know, it was going so nicely that Marines were rallying across. What is it? You know, we were looking at, oh, okay, this Reaper's getting far too much done. What do we got on the other side? It's going to be, well, it's a Phoenix opener out of NightMare. No Oracles, just going straight into Phoenix. And we got a anti-Phoenix follow-up coming out of Gumiho. Yeah, it's a medevac. It's not a Viking. That is true, but we're adding in Marines. We're adding in Cyclones. There's a lot of stuff that shoots up in a way that NightMare's not going to be too happy about. So we look at what he's got on the map, right? 3 Adepts, 1 Phoenix. Cyclone actually doesn't really get the lock on the Phoenix, but it's a pretty decent scout to see what's happening. Is this Phoenix well positioned, so much damage done. And when we talk about setups like this, when you're trying to defend against double Cyclone, 8 Marine, right? This aggression that's coming out of Gumiho, it's not just every unit that matters, because every unit does matter, but it's the health on every unit that matters. And again, this is something that NightMare's been doing. No shield battery in the natural. Do we have one in the main base? And we do have that one on the way. But the lack of shield batteries here is making life maybe a little bit more complicated than it would otherwise be. So 8 Marines are going to show up in the main base. NightMare has not seen it just yet. He's in this little corner. He doesn't know what's happening. Well, he knows what's happening, but he doesn't see it, not just yet. And now boosting into the main base. A shield battery does a lot. It really does, but there's no shield battery protecting the pylon. Adepts are going to have to shade forward. And, you know, Phoenix for now are handling this pretty nicely. Medevac takes a lot of damage. 1 Phoenix goes down. Boosted once again. Medevac is dead. And, well, we're going to see Marines go down on the backside on the lifts. Got to lift this Cyclone, though, to break the lock on. There we go. And Adepts in the main base, they handle this beautifully. Yeah, we did see a couple Adepts die. Yes, a Phoenix is dead. 2nd Phoenix is going to fall down on the backside. That's kind of unfortunate, but this entire attack from Gumiho really does get swatted away. So 3 Phoenix, 5 Adepts for 3 Cyclones, 10 Marines, a Medevac. We take those. That's actually really, really good for NightMare here. And again, yes, would he prefer to be on, what are we, Phoenix now? Would he prefer to be on 5 Phoenix? Yeah, he'd love to. And I think he realistically could have gotten out, could have gotten out there with 4. That final Phoenix that went down was a bit of a APM tax as much as anything else. Oh, I cannot delay the ads, unfortunately. Yeah, it was as much of an APM tax as anything else, but for now, he's still using them to scout around, seeing what's up, and behind this, he's transitioning into charge. He is transitioning into this next round of tech. So, yes, Phoenix more being made, of course. That's just a good thing to do. But behind this, again, charges on the way, adding in a lot more gateways. And Gumiho, again, he's this player that, I mean, you just look at the setup. We're looking at 4 racks right now, where this is a 5 racks time and come out of Gumiho, no 3rd base, right? So this is extremely committed. He's going to try to knock down these Adepts. It looks like there's no shade available, or at least NightMare hasn't triggered the shade. So just going to try to kill as many Marines as possible. But losing those Adepts, not great. NightMare, though, pretty soon. Charge done. What is he on right now? He's on 8 gateways. Remains to be seen as the Phoenix, they're going to try to shoot down some of these medevacs, at least get damage on them. But we do need to see warp-in rounds. That's the big thing there. We need to see Chronos on top of all of these gateways. NightMare has what it takes to defend. Give him another round of warp-ins. Give him a little bit more time. He has what it takes to defend, but SCVs are going to get pulled into this as well. Into Gumiho, again, no shield battery, and no shield battery on the 3rd base either. There's no really good position to make sure the shield batteries are fine. But SCVs, again, they're on the backside. They're not tanking. That's really what you want. So Phoenix are going to dive in here as well. More rounds of Zealots. SCVs finally starting to go down. The Zealots, okay, so where are we at right now? It's 18 army supplied to a lot of bio. Yeah, no, NightMare's dead. Even though the SCVs were tanking from the wrong angle, even though it was a little bit dicey, NightMare, yeah, not able to make it happen. Gumiho ties us up. We go to game 3. So game 1, we saw Gumiho go for a proxy. Reaper gets far too much damage done, and then Reaper Hellion gets far too much damage done, and then the follow-up gets far too much damage done. But NightMare is able to punch back a little bit. He's able to go and kill off a couple SCVs, kill a tank, deny mining for a time, and then the 3-1-1 5 tank SCV pull that Gumiho goes for just doesn't really work out because all charge is done in time. And for 2 games in a row, Gumiho hasn't led with the SCVs. Which is not really ideal. You want the SCVs to buffer from the very beginning. Instead, Zealots made contact with the army first, and then the SCVs kind of came in and buffered. And, you know, at the end of the day, for that last game, didn't really matter. The army of Gumiho was just too strong. I mean, you look at it, it was about 20 army supply up, and had about 20 supply of SCVs. So call it, you know, maybe net 40, net 35, because SCVs, they just tank, right? They don't really do damage, but I mean, they do a little bit. But anyway, so the pull happened, even though the army took first contact from the charge. It didn't really matter. So that meant that Gumiho, he just had a little bit too much stuff. NightMare didn't transition maybe quite quick enough, or didn't start warping in quite quick enough. I don't know. Have to go back and really take a look at it. All that means is game 3 is here. All that means is we get to 3rd game to take a look at these 2 players, which, you know, again, is pretty exciting. I very much appreciate you know, getting more of a chance. Again, NightMare's been looking really strong, and I know I've been saying this, and I've just been beating the drum, but I get a little excited about, you know, not new, because NightMare's been around for forever, but, well, Protoss players that are starting to make the race look good again. You know, we see Firefly, who has these incredible runs. He's playing Oliver in a rematch of last season, not the current season, not the winter seasons, but the fall season, or not the summer seasons, but the winter seasons. Asian ESL Masters regional finals is well, we're gonna see the Reaper go down, and with the Reaper going down, the Hellion probably is not gonna dive in at the time being. So anyway, a rematch of that finals. Firefly lost, but he did take a map. We saw Oliveira actually was beaten down by Firefly in the upper bracket. Inorsh, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. And the Adept and the Stalker in the middle of the map, is it gonna get? Oh, the body block is so what? No, he's gonna get a Hellion. There we go. Gonna get a second Hellion. Oh, well, he's gonna get the Stalker will go down, but a lot of the power has been removed from this attack. Stalker Adept for 2 Hellions and a Reaper is maybe not the best. Is Scarlet playing today? No, Scarlet is not playing today. Was the question from YouTube. Scarlet is not playing today. Yeah, Scarlet is in Canada. She's not in Korea. Not anymore, to the best of my knowledge. So she has not been playing in any of these cups, unfortunately. We do have Rainer though playing. We're gonna try to get in that game fairly quickly. As well, Reapers and Hellions are just gonna dive on top of these Stalkers, and again, the lack of a shield battery is causing some problems. But even still, these Reapers should go down. Yeah, he's gonna get the majority. I guess 2 Stalkers die, but that's still a pretty heavy investment coming out of Gumiho. What's he doing from behind? 3-1-1. We're gonna see tanks on the way. We're gonna see Stim get started soon. Trading out army for army is not really. I mean, I guess that was the play, because he didn't even try to dive past. But it is interesting to see how lackadaisical, how reticent, I guess, it is for NightMare to really just not get shield batteries anywhere. Like for a lot of Protoss players, you see the shield battery in the natural. You'll see a shield battery in the 3rd base get started up pretty quickly, because you want to make sure that you don't die. You want to get obviously shield battery in the main base as well, but it's for a slightly different reason. That's more to defend against drop play. And NightMare's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. It's not worth it. And look at this. Okay, no, never mind. Blink is done. But again, he's going Gateway Man, right? Blink is done. Charge on the way immediately. No quick robo. We Stalkers are going to run across, sure, but there's no Warp Prism. You just add it. This is just 3-gate. He's going to try to poke away. This tank here makes life a little bit complicated, but he's just going to try to poke away at Marines, maybe. Reapers. Yeah, get his pound of flesh, right? See what he can find. And maybe blink into the main. Do we have anything in the main? Yeah, there's a decent amount of bios. Gumiho's well split. And that means the Stalkers probably shouldn't get a lot done. But I do like this, actually. One thing I said, you know, at the end of game 2 was like, well, I don't know if he has time to get Storm. It's going to be kind of hard. And for now, the Observer gets out. Very nice. But it does feel like Gumiho's getting ready, right? For this time, he's pulled SCVs 2 games in a row. He might pull 4-3rd. He's worried about DTs, but we're not going to see that really happen in this game. But the one thing I was saying is like, man, I don't know if you can get Storm out in time. But you might be able to get Archons out in time. And that is absolutely what Nightmare's going for. So he's got Archons. He's got to get Immortals on top of this. He really is taking the potential for this attack a lot more seriously than he did in previous games. And, you know, this is actually decent for Gumiho, right? Well, kind of 6-1, half dozen the other. Gumiho does have a 3rd base on the way. So this is not the all-in that we were talking about. These Stalkers have to be very careful. Lose these 4 Stalkers and you probably lose the game, is the long and short of it. Every unit against this in this defense matters. Well, no, you don't lose the game. There's enough here on the high ground. There's an Archon. There's an Immortal. Nightmare is pretty supply blocked. 108 out of 109. But he's going to go around the edge. Yes, he's going to soak a tank shot or 2. But this tank should go down very quickly here. Zealot's trying to get on top of things as well, and this is where it gets a little bit dicey. Where's our Prism? Not with the army. I don't even know that there is a Prism at the moment, as he tries to kite away from the Zealots, tries to kite away from the Archon. Great micro from Gumiho as well, and Nightmare tries to take advantage of the supply lead, but with no reinforcements, it's all dead. Yeah, the tank went down really quickly, but everything else got obliterated there. Nightmare, not a great decision to make that happen around the corner like that. Corners are a Terran player's best friend, and behind this, 3rd base is done. If you, as Nightmare, could force Gumiho back home, if you could, you know, go and, well, have a Prism maybe, save the Immortal. Okay, maybe. But that was not a cost-effective trade whatsoever. Now, flooding down the ramp, this is going to be a little bit better. We're going to see Widow Mines go down very quickly. And the Storm about halfway done. This is still manageable, but if you look at resources lost here, it's a lot more expensive of a game for Nightmare. Than it has been for Gumiho by quite a margin. And yeah, okay. Income's been Nightmare favored for a decent amount of time. That income advantage, plus 600 for a little bit. No, even with the income advantage, it's not happy for Nightmare, not in this game. So Storm is just about done. Warp Prism's on the way. We're adding more Zealots. A big... This is what are we at? 4, 3, 4, 8, 12, 15 Zealots running across the map for a massive warp in. As Gumiho, by the way, 4th base on the way. He's very committed to going and kind of taking this game just a little bit later. Nice feedback on the medevac. Is going to knock down the never mind. Widow Mine. You could have blinked out of that one, Nightmare. Chooses not to. Just a little focused on other things. But at least the medevac will go down. Nice catch there. Widow Mine. Widow Mine's dead as well. And again, this 15 Zealots, you have to get something done with this. We're not at the stage of the game where you can throw that one away. They're on hold position, so one Zealot just dies. 2nd one's going to fall down, but finally 4th base gets started. 4th base, yeah, it's on location for Nightmare, but gets started a little bit slower. Now, this is an interesting setup here. Zealot's going to try to come in from the backside. It's a bit disjointed. Kind of a cool fight showing up from Nightmare, trying to get that surround getting ready. Now Zealot's on the Widow Mine, but actually never really gets the shot off. Even still, though, it's dicey here. Where are our Storms? Medevac or Warp Prism? No shields, only HP for now. It's no ghosts in this army. We're going to look for the big Storms as Nightmare goes for the attack. Where's our Storms? They're in the Prism right now. Prism only just now joining the fight. Storms are going to get dropped on the army, but whoa, those are good. Finally, the Storms are landing. They're evaporating things, but Zealots not really there to take advantage. Even still, the Storms kill off everything. 16 workers go down. And yes, the High Templar, they were targeted down for the time being, but all of a sudden, Nightmare, significant supply lead, significant game lead. And he takes this 2-1. Moves on to the next round.